This video covers the multiplication and division of real numbers. I'll start with multiplication. Multiplication is shorthand for addition. Okay, if we have 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, I would write that as 4 times 3. And either way, whether we were to add all of these together or multiply 4 times 3, we'll get 12. If I had minus 3 and added that to minus 3 plus a minus 3 and then plus again to minus 3, in a similar fashion to this above, I'd have 4 times minus 3. But if I add minus 3 and minus 3, remember, what did we get? If I add minus 3, I'm going minus 3 along the number line, and to this I'm going to add another minus 3, so I'll have minus 6. I'll go 3 more to the left, I'll have minus 9, then 3 more to the left, I'll have minus 12. So this turns out to be negative, minus 12. And notice that I had different signs. Here I've got a minus. In front of this 4 that we don't write is a plus. Right, so we have different signs. When I have different signs, my answer comes out negative, right here. Note that when we had the same sign, positive, both positive, same sign, here we got an answer that was positive, right? Because hidden in here is a plus 12. Now this minus 12, I could get that in another way. I could say it's minus 4 plus minus 4, which would be what? Minus 8. And if I add another minus 4 to that, I will get minus 12. But this is 3 times minus 4. And again, I get negative 12. So we have different signs again. We have a positive and a negative. Just like here, I had positive 4 and minus 3. Here I have a plus 3 and a minus 4. Multiply them together, I still get a negative. Well, what about minus 4 times minus 3? Well, let's take a look at that. What does it mean? Well, we know that minus 4 is equal to minus 1 times 4. We also know that minus 3, put a comma here, we also know that minus 3 is equal to minus 1 times 3. Right? Because they're unlike signs. I have a minus 1 times a plus 4. 1 times 4 is 4, but because the signs are different, 1 is plus, 1 is minus, I'll get a negative 4. And the same would be true for minus 3. So let's go back to our question, which was minus 4 times minus 3. I'll write them in factored form. Remember, these are factored. Not completely in this case, because I could factor the 4 to 2 times 2, but they're factored enough for this discussion. So I've factored minus 3 into minus 1 times 3. So I'll write these two in factored form. I have minus 1 times 4 times minus 1 times 3. Multiplication is commutative, so I'm going to rearrange all of these. Oops, minus 1 times minus 1, 4 times 3. We know 4 times 3 is 12, so this turns out to be minus 1 times minus 1 times 12. So the real question is, what is this? What is negative 1 times negative 1? Well, we have a convention. And the convention says that minus 1 times minus 1 equals positive 1. And it holds really nicely. It makes everything work, basically, because this comes out to be positive 12, right? A negative times a negative is positive. And just like we had before, we have the same signs, and that gives us a positive result. So for multiplication of two real numbers, it's quite simple. All we have to do is look at the signs on the numbers. So let's do an example. If I have minus 2 times 3 times minus 3 times 2. I'll go left to right because this is going to come in handy when we look at order of operations. So minus 2 times a plus 3. A minus and a plus, they're different signs. So it's going to be negative. So this will be negative 6. Right? That's the 2 times the 3. It gives me negative 6. Then I have minus 3 times 2. Now we're going to multiply the minus 6 and the minus 3. And when we do that, we have the same signs. Minus 6 times a minus 3 gives me a positive number, right? Positive 18. Still multiplying by 2, and now when I multiply these two together, I get 18 times 2, same signs, so it'll stay positive, and I get 36. So let me recap. If we have two real numbers, so multiplying real numbers. Now I've used integers, but we could have had decimals. Multiplying any two real numbers, a times b, a times b. If a and b have the same sign, both positive or both negative, then a times b is positive. If a and b different signs, in other words, one is positive and the other is negative, then a times b, which I'll write just ab, is going to be negative. This is always true, so I get a positive result. I get some bizarre result. I get positive result in this case, and here I get a negative result.